All right, the Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 61 now. Here to talk about college football and NFL on this podcast. And then tonight, I'll be recording another podcast, and that'll go up probably around 10 p.m. tonight. This should be up around like the 5 o'clock range. Then I'm going to record with RJ around like 7:30 to 8:30ish and upload that to the channel. And also we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts now. So just go to the channel and go to the About section, and you can find links to our Twitter, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts all right there. There's only one person who has commented on our Spotify podcast, like Q&A. So that was my sister, in which she said, "Yes, do a music section, I'm in," referring to the fact that I mentioned I might do a music section at the Sort of Sporties this year. And so, being that she's the only response I have, I guess I have to listen. So I'll have to think about how I'm going to incorporate a little music section into the Sort of Sporties, but that'll definitely be exciting. I did see The Creator last weekend, so I think I might have mentioned that on the MLB prediction podcast. I might have mentioned that. I can't remember, but I don't really have anything too special to say about it. I'm not sure if it's going to show up in the best movies of 2023. I'm sure I'll talk about it when I do that episode. I don't know. It's sitting with me, so we'll see. But yeah, I watched a lot of movies this year. Very excited for the Sort of Sporties this year. It's going to be epic. Got a big show planned today. Now, like I said, I got 2 shows planned today because episode 62 will be coming out, around the 10 p.m. hour-ish, and that's going to be RJ and I talking about everything that happened in the wild card because everybody got swept, and it wasn't all the teams we predicted, sadly. RJ's Blue Jays prediction looking really rough. He had them going to the pennant. No, he had them going to the World Series. Yeah, he had them going to the World Series and losing, and I had them losing the DS, but still, I mean, that's rough for both of us. So, yeah, Blue Jays getting knocked out by the Twins. The Twins team that I was not high on at all, and I'm still not that high on. But I'll save the MLB talk for when it's RJ and I later tonight, so just be looking for that, episode 62. We got a lot of content being pumped out lately. I don't know why I'm calling it content. I am not like, oh yes, the content is excellent. That I'm not a content creator. I'm a dude that's got a microphone underneath his bed because my bed's lofted, so it's like dead serious my computer and my PS5, and I plug a microphone in my computer. And I sit here underneath my mattress and record the podcast. So definitely not to the point I'm going to call it content. It's definitely episodes. So yeah, we got a lot of episodes being pumped out. RJ did great. I was really happy to have him on. He made me laugh. He's like, well, the one I was on was already one of your most viewed. And it is, actually. The most viewed podcast on the channel is now that episode at 76 views. So I don't know what black magic RJ possesses, but he used it because... yeah. I don't know. He's just that good. RJ, this man works in mysterious ways. Okay, so yeah, I'll do an MLB podcast with him tonight, but right now, I'm going to be talking about college football and NFL. College football, there's really not that much to talk about. Colorado, we almost came back. You love to see the effort. I was really glad we almost came back against USC. I was super excited and thought we maybe would get the win. And I think Shador has absolutely been balling out. I don't know if he's going to declare for the draft. Deion has said he's not going to. He's going to stay around for one more year. I would love that because I think there's a real chance he wins Heisman next year. I think this year it's Penix. I think Michael Penix Jr. He's just been absolutely on a tear. I think that Washington team has a chance. Basically, the winner of the Pac-12 will get a playoff spot. And so if Washington, let me look at Pac-12 standings. Pac-12 has like quietly been I don't know how quiet it really is now, but it's pretty much been the best conference in college football, I feel like, so far. I mean, obviously the SEC is always the main one, but I got to say, for once, like, I think, Oregon, USC, and Washington are all really good teams. And Utah, I mean, yes, they have a loss, but I think it's still a tough team. I don't think UCLA is a slouch. I don't think Oregon State or Washington State are that bad either. I think all these teams are pretty solid. And I think it's interesting that Kirby Smart's saying every SEC team should be ranked. I think he sees the writing on the wall that this is one of the weaker teams he's had at Georgia. So he's kind of like, oh man, this SEC is so rough. So when they lose, it's, well, look, I told you it's a super competitive conference. But also Kentucky being 5-0. I just want to make sure everybody pays attention to that. Kentucky is currently 5-0, along with Missouri and Georgia, the only other SEC schools that are undefeated. In the Pac-12, the undefeated schools are currently USC, Oregon, Washington, and Washington State. I mean it, though. If Washington can win out and win the conference championship, Washington basically guaranteed to be in the playoff. You know they're going to try to fit Caleb Williams in there somewhere. So maybe if USC loses the conference championship against Washington, that's the way they'll do it, because Pac-12 doesn't have two separate divisions. It's just straight up. So it's not like the Big Ten or the SEC where they got like, oh, well, this division winner and this division. No, it's not like that. So, yeah, Pac-12, I think it's really interesting to see what happens with Oregon and Washington. And like I said, USC. And Washington State I wouldn't sleep on either. But Colorado, I think we're having a good season so far. I think maybe we can win the rest of the way. I don't know. We're going to have to play Washington down the road. That's going to be a tough game, and I'm going to love watching that because I do think Penix, it's going to be his year to win Heisman. I really think it's going to happen this year if they win out the Pac-12. I think if Caleb Williams wins it, then he wins it. So it's really down to those two guys. I know I shouldn't say it's down to those two guys. I mean, the race could completely change, and J.J. McCarthy has some big games, and all of a sudden, boom, it's them. Or Kyle McCord has some big games, and boom, it's him. But right now, Penix is definitely the front runner, and I think Washington's a really talented team. I'd love to see Penix go on to win it. And that really raises draft stock. I think that'll be interesting. There's going to be a lot of teams looking to get new quarterbacks. I think there's a chance, like the Raiders do, the Steelers might, Cardinals might, Bears definitely will, Titans might, Falcons definitely have to. So there's a lot of interesting things when it comes to draft this year. And I think, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Michael Penix Jr. are all first-round talents. And then is there hype for J.J. McCarthy? Is there hype for Bo Nix? Quinn Ewers, right? I mean, Ewers is a real threat for Heisman, too. If Texas could win the SEC, then Ewers would be it. But I don't know if that's – I don't really see that happening. But I think it's really a Penix-Williams race at the moment. Okay, let's shift over. Well, I guess I should say who Colorado plays next, right? I mean, come on. Let me pull up who Colorado plays next. For those of you that don't know, we're playing Arizona State Saturday at 6:30 p.m., so I'm going to be able to catch this game. Pretty excited. We should get a win here. I would be pretty upset if we lose, because after that we play Stanford, which we should win. UCLA is going to be a tough game, but I think we can win that. Oregon State, we might lose. Arizona, hopefully we win. Washington State, we might lose. Utah, we might lose. So what are we looking at there? 1, 2, 3. If we lose to just Washington State and Utah, that's 2 more losses, and we've already won. Let me just count the wins real quick. So it'd be 3 wins, 2 losses. Why can't I? Oh my gosh, I'm bad at math all of a sudden. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'd be 8 wins on the year. Maybe we go. I feel like 7 feels like what this team's going to get. I feel like we're a 7-win team. Maybe 8 wins. I'd love to have 8 wins. It'd be great. But I'm happy with the team. I love what Deion's doing. I love Coach Prime. I love his team. I love Shador. Shador's my boy. And I think we're going to be even better next year. I think we're going to get some big transfers. And, go Buffs. Okay. Let's shift over to the NFL. First thing, and I mentioned this on episode 60 before RJ came on, I enjoy the Taylor Swift thing. I'm not a hater. I don't understand. Okay, well, I do understand. Because, some of my friends and a lot of people online are like, oh, I'm here for football. I'm not here. What is the NFL? Really, what is their goal? To make money. Okay? That is the end. Taylor Swift being there makes them money. And I saw this thing. It was like, well, the Jets-Chiefs game had a significant drop in viewership from the Bears-Chiefs game. And everybody was like, oh, see, football fans actually want football. And I was like, all right, well, do you also see that it was it was the most viewed Sunday night football game since the Super Bowl? And it was Jets-Chiefs? And I'm like, yeah, it did drop viewership from the Bears because it had a little bit less of the novelty of it's Taylor Swift's first time. It was the confirmation that they were dating. It was the second time she showed up. So obviously you would expect a dip in viewership. But it was still the most viewed Sunday night football game since the Super Bowl. And I was just like, okay. So I think people, they're like, oh, the NFL's overdoing it. I don't mean to quote Taylor Swift, but they need to calm down. I think it's kind of a fun thing, and I think it's enjoyable. I find it fun that, there's like this kind of star-crossed lovers romance thing going on in the NFL with one of the top players and like the top music star. So I think for the NFL to not capitalize on that is stupid. And so I think, well, there's an argument of, oh, well, the NFL is just doing it for money. Well, yeah, but, do you complain every time they cut to commercial? Because that's the same thing. I mean, to be perfectly honest, a good amount of people do complain every time they cut to commercial. But here's the thing. It's a waste of your time because it's never going to end. You're in a losing battle. The NFL will always cut to commercial for the rest of your life. They're never going to go, you know what, guys? I think we're done with commercials. We're just going to watch the game the whole time. They would never do that. There's no point in doing that. I mean, the Super Bowl is literally known for the commercials. So the idea, you're just fighting a losing battle. But you're like, I hate this Taylor Swift thing. Does it really affect it that much? I don't think so. I think it's fun. I think it's a little, I don't want to say corny. I don't know. I think it's a little goofy. I think it's kind of goofy that they're like, oh, look, she's here. I think it's fun. Do I think it's kind of a ploy for her to eventually play at the Super Bowl? Yes, I do think that's really what they're hoping. But in the same sense, I think the whole thing's fun. I really enjoy it. I actually listened to a few Taylor Swift songs since she showed up, so it's worked both ways. I think maybe there's some NFL fans out there that are giving her music more of a shot, and there's a lot of her fans that are giving the NFL more of a shot. So I think everybody's benefiting. I don't understand. I think people just like to be angry, and I don't want to be angry. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I hope her and Travis continue to date because I think it's incredibly fun. It makes New Heights even more interesting. I love New Heights, but there's always the 3 or 4 minutes they talk about Taylor Swift stuff, and it makes it really fun. And now they're the top podcast, I think, in the world, not just sports. So good for them. And I'm right on their heels, obviously. No. But I'm saying, I think the whole thing's really fun. And, the NFL, when you hear people talk about the NFL, usually it's fantasy teams, right? Even people that don't watch that much NFL, they talk about fantasy teams. I got this guy. People that don't even tune in every week have fantasy teams. That's like kind of the general public's conversation. Well, now the general public's conversation is talking about the best team of the last 3 to 4 years, which is the Chiefs, and one of the best tight ends ever because of the whole Taylor Swift thing. So to me, I think this being one of the windows into the general public's view of the NFL is a good thing. And they also get to see Zach Wilson cook. I saw some tweets that are like, oh no, Swifties are going to think Zach Wilson's better than Mahomes because, Zach Wilson did outplay Mahomes. I mean, Zach Wilson played great in that second half. I would say the first half, not so much. But in the second half, Zach Wilson played incredible. That was so weird. He came out of nowhere. I really hope the Jets get a big win this week. They're playing somebody pretty bad. I think they're playing the Broncos. Yeah, they're playing the Broncos. So Zach Wilson has a chance to have a really good game, and I really hope that happens for the guy. But it broke my heart seeing the video, and it was like, oh, it's my fault, bro. That's why we lost. And I was like, oh, for those of you who don't know, after the game, the camera was on him. You could see him saying to his teammate, this one's on me, bro. And I was like, it took him a little bit to cook. He got to the second half is when he really started playing well. But I was like, I think you proved yourself to a lot of people tonight because, to everybody on the planet, he's a joke. Zach Wilson's a joke. It's just, he's everybody hide your moms. That's the joke of Zach Wilson is that, because there's always the rumor of him getting with his friend's mom and, he's the MILF hunter and all that stuff. He's just a joke quarterback. No one actually thinks he's any good. Everybody thinks he's bad. The only thing he's good at is getting with people over 40. But I think he really proved that he can be a quality quarterback for the Jets, or at least showed glimpse of maybe being able to do that. And so it kind of broke my heart that he felt like he failed. So I really hope things improve for him. I mean, it's like my one friend said, it's incredible character growth. Just like a year ago, they said, is the offense the problem? And he said no. So he was completely deflecting the blame from the Jets losing. And then now they almost win off a great performance from him, and he says it's on me. So to me, just perfect character growth. If the NFL's scripted, they're doing great work with his character. I love the arc. And if it's not scripted, I still love the arc. Beautiful character arc for Zach Wilson. Excellent work. So hopefully he continues to play well because that would just be chef's kiss. Perfect character growth. But as far as the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing goes, I love it and I think it's fun, and I hope everybody calms down about it because I think it's a great time. It's a win-win for me. I think it's bringing in more fans. It's making the NFL have a more, I don't want to say water cooler conversation because no one uses water coolers, but I'm saying it's a hot topic. The NFL is currently a hot topic, and it's one of the best players in the league on one of the best teams. I think it's good. It's also made the Chiefs more fun. I feel like a lot of hate was going towards the Chiefs. I feel like last year is when it really started to manifest, and 2 years ago is when it really started to manifest. When they played the Bengals, there started to be some Chiefs hate. And then last year was like real, like a lot. It just felt like everybody, me included, was rooting against him in the Super Bowl. I wanted Jalen Hurts to win MVP. And in retrospect, Mahomes did deserve that MVP. I just want to say in retrospect. But I think this is giving them a little more goodwill, and I think that's a good thing. I've started to kind of back off I had a little bit of hatred growing for the Chiefs, and Genevieve pointed out to me the other day. She's like, you realize you're actually like low key. You kind of back the Chiefs. I'm like, no, I don't. And she's like, you literally hardly ever say anything bad about them. You always say that they deserve their wins. She's like, you always like Travis. You used to be a huge Mahomes guy. I was like, oh crap, she's right. And so I do think I've kind of backed off being a Chiefs hater and kind of gone back to being a slight supporter because there's no point in spending the next 5 years of my life angry at a team that is going to continue to dominate. They're going to continue to be perennially a Super Bowl contender. I've been using the word perennial a lot lately. It makes me feel smart. And there's no point in me or you, listener, spending your time hating against that. We all had to hate on the Patriots. I get it. But I think this Chiefs team is a lot more fun and is way less hateable than the Patriots. I think the only thing that's annoying about Mahomes is when he does his little like shuffle walk off the field. And you're just like, what are you doing? You look stupid. Anytime he gets like sacked, he does his little shuffle walk. And he does a little like finger touching his wrist. He just has little quirks that are a little weird. And you're like, what the hell? What is he doing? But other than that, it's pretty hard to hate the team. You might get mad when Travis Kelce like talks trash about your team after they win, but also I think it's kind of fun. So, yeah, I think it's a fun team. I would encourage everybody to hate less because the team's going to continue to be successful. There's no point in you raising your blood pressure. I'm saying as both your friend and as your personal doctor, there's no point in you raising your blood pressure this much over the Chiefs Kingdom. It's just me. That's coming from a Panthers fan. Do I have the Panthers written down here? Okay, I just got to talk about Panthers real quick. Watched a 9-minute TikTok my friend sent me that was film analysis of Bryce Young, and I made some great points about how Frank Reich set up the offense for like an Aaron Rodgers style offense where Bryce just sits in the pocket and everybody else moves and he makes a play. Instead of like a Kyle Shanahan offense where there's a lot of motion in the backfield, there's more trickery, it's not just Bryce getting it in shotgun every time and sitting there in the pocket. There's a lot more motion and he's in different situations, and that would benefit Bryce, and I completely agree. It doesn't make any sense to me that we're running an offense that's perfectly built for C.J. Stroud. And I'm not just saying this because C.J. Stroud's doing great with the Texans. I'm saying I don't understand why we're not. I think Bryce Young can be really good. I really like Bryce Young. Hell, I'd say I love Bryce Young. I love Bryce Young. He's great. Well, he has potential to be great. But we're not using an offense to maximize his ability. We're using an offense for C.J. Stroud. We're running an offense that would benefit C.J. Stroud. I don't understand. If this is what Frank Reich wanted to do, why didn't we draft Stroud? This is not me saying we screwed up, shouldn't take Bryce. I think Bryce can be really good, just like Stroud's being really good. But I don't know if he could be better because Stroud is really killing it. But he could be, good enough that we're not embarrassed. Kind of like the Tua Herbert thing, where Tua is good enough now that like the Dolphins know, yeah, Herbert's better, but we're happy with what we have. I think we can have the same thing with Bryce Young. And we're not going to get him playing well if we continue to run this offense that doesn't benefit him. It's nothing but him sitting there in shotgun, watching routes, tossing it to a guy, or screen passes. It's terrible. It's nothing like he did at Bama. We need to completely rework the offense. And if Frank Reich is not going to do it, we need to get rid of Frank Reich. And I want Frank Reich to be good. I really do. I was high on him in the offseason. But I'm serious. It's so frustrating. I don't understand why we're not running an offense to maximize what Bryce is good at. We're treating him like we drafted C.J. Stroud. And if we were going to do that, then why didn't we just take Stroud? I don't understand. Run an offense that benefits Bryce Young. It's not that hard. I mean, if you put him on like a Shanahan offense, like you put him on, I don't want to, okay, everybody does better with Shanahan because he's the best coach. But I would say even Sean McVay would better figure out how to use Bryce Young. And Frank Reich is supposed to be one of those offensive coaches, guys, like Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, like those offensive-minded guys like Mike McDaniel. He's supposed to be like one of those guys. So where is it, Frank? Where is it? This is the most angry I've been about talking about the Panthers so far this year. I'm kind of fed up because we're going to get our ass handed to us against the Lions. You know it. You know it. I'm not here for it. So I'm telling you right now, we need to change the offense or change the coaching because it's not Bryce's fault. Also, we don't have very good receivers. I think everybody knows that. So, to be perfectly honest, I would rather change the offense before we go, oh, we need to go get a good receiver because there's no point getting a good receiver if your offense isn't even benefiting the quarterback. So we need to change. It's all right. We're moving on. Let's talk about the Seahawks. They looked super legit on Monday Night Football. Drew Lock came in and once again proved that Pete Carroll is one of the best coaches in the NFL because Geno goes out, Drew Lock comes in, no problems, no questions asked, does what he's supposed to do, gets off the field. Seahawks absolutely took care of the Giants. The Giants look awful. I'm starting to think Daniel Jones is as bad as we all used to think he was before last year. I don't blame this on Dayball. I think the O-line's not very good. Here's the thing with Daniel Jones. I can't decide whether he is really not that good or if the O-line is bad and that last year was, because last year was pretty good. He had 79% completion, pretty good completion, honestly. Completion percentage, 203 yards, 0 touchdown, 2 interceptions with a 67 passer rating. That's not good. I think Daniel Jones, I would say that Giants O-line isn't very good, but on top of that, I don't think Daniel Jones is that good. As somebody who was promoting him last year, I think he's not that good. It's not a Jared Goff situation where people aren't seeing how good he is because people finally come to respect Jared Goff and recognize Jared Goff is good. I think Daniel Jones is not really that good, and so they should probably move on from him. I don't know what the answer is. I think Tyrod Taylor is still their backup. I don't think you bench him, but maybe you look to draft this year. I'm not sure, but the Giants have a chance to have one of the worst records in the NFL, possibly draft like Drake May or Penix, Bo Nix, one of those guys, maybe Quinn Ewers. Who knows? So I guess what I'm saying is the Giants looked awful, but on the other end, Seahawks look really good. I don't think they're a Super Bowl winner. I don't think they're an NFC Championship winner, but they'll be in the divisional, and they might even be in the NFC Championship, depending on how seeding turns out. That's a tough team to play. I would not want to play that team. That whole NFC West is crazy to me because you got the Niners, Super Bowl contender, the Seahawks, most likely going to be in the playoffs, and not a fun team to face. You get the Rams, potentially in the playoffs, ankle biter team. Like they're always right there doing little things right. And we'll talk about Puka later. Then the Cardinals, another ankle biter team. You just don't want to have to play them. I got to toss it out there. I think the Bengals are going to lose the Cardinals this weekend. The Bengals look terrible. I don't know what's up. Is Burrow hurt? Is that what's going on? They're going to fire Zach Taylor if this keeps up. I don't even know if it'll last the end of the season. I know they've started cold before, but they got obliterated by the Titans. It wasn't like they lost a close game. They got obliterated. I don't know what's going on in Cincy, but I picked them to win the Super Bowl over the Lions. The Lions pick doesn't look too bad. Bengals pick looks terrible. They look so bad, and I think the Cardinals are going to beat them. Dead serious Sunday. I think Josh Dobbs is going to take care of them. Like, underrated, I think the Cardinals are getting some attention, but we got to, I don't think people are talking about it enough. The fact that, this team is obviously predicted to be terrible, but Jonathan Gannon was like the least talked about new coach in the league. Oh my gosh, wait, he coached at St. Ignatius? That's where, I know kids from there. That's like the big football high school in this area. That's crazy. Wow, okay. No, but Jonathan Gannon was one of the least talked about of all the new coach hirings. Like you heard more about Shane Steichen, you heard more about Frank Reich, you heard more about D'Amico Ryans. Like nobody was talking about Jonathan Gannon, and he's killing it. I think D'Amico, if you're gonna put money on Coach of the Year, put it on D'Amico. Love D'Amico from the Niners, perfect. But Jonathan Gannon really doing great stuff with the Cardinals, and he's making Michael Wilson look like a stud, rookie wide receiver. Picked him up in fantasy league. Tip to everybody out there, pick him up in your fantasy league. And Gannon is taking a team that's not that good, I think, on paper, and they play tough football. I mean, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs or anything, but that's just not a fun team to play. It's another ankle-biter team. I think the Rams could potentially make the playoffs. I don't think the Cardinals have any shot, but both of those are teams you just don't want to face. You just don't want to. And I think part of that's coaching. I think they both got smart coaches, and I can't wait to see what Gannon can do when he has even more quality players. So that'll be interesting to see. That he might be the guy that eventually makes the Cardinals a really good team because he seems to know what he's doing. So I give him a lot of credit. But yeah, the Seahawks, Witherspoon proved his worth. And part of me was like, man, looking back, really every team in this draft past the 4 pick can go, man, we probably should have taken Bijan. Realistically. Or Jalen Carter, right? Because they were the 8-9 pick, and both of them are doing exceptional. I think Offensive Rookie of the Year is most likely going to be Bijan or C.J. Stroud. Defensive Rookie of the Year is basically guaranteed to be Jalen Carter. And then Devin Witherspoon decides, hold up, I'm going to prove my worth. 5th pick in the draft, absolutely kills it, gets his first interception. He had a great game Monday night, so I give him a lot of credit. I was going to say Mac Jones looked terrible. Patriots look terrible. Patriots are awful. Like, so awful. And then Christian Gonzalez, who was playing really well for them. Great pick there for them. I think, was he the 11th pick? Let me check this. Now, Christian Gonzalez is playing exceptional for them at corner, and then he gets hurt, and he's out for the year. That's really a shame. That just sucks. I mean, he was playing really well, and that was like one of the only bright spots. 17th, wow, later than I thought. One of the only bright spots for this Patriots team. I got a buddy who's a big Patriots fan. He's like, yeah, this is one of the worst seasons we're ever going to see. Biggest loss of Bill Belichick's career the other day when they got absolutely destroyed by the Cowboys. So, to me, I think it's a terrible year for the Patriots. They got to be looking to replace Mac Jones. I don't know if it's a vet. I don't know if he wants to go get Jimmy Garoppolo from the Raiders. That would be a vet, obviously. I don't know if they want to draft somebody. Would Drake May work for the Patriots? Now, here's the nightmare scenario for all you Patriots haters. Here's the nightmare scenario. The Patriots are so bad that they get the number 1 pick and take Caleb Williams. I know. Could you imagine? What's funny about Caleb Williams is I've never met anybody who's like, man, I love Caleb Williams. Like, does everybody just agree that he's kind of an ass? Like, I never really like him. I just don't think he seems like a cool dude. I just think he seems like if you talk to him, he'd be really, like, kind of annoying. And I don't feel like, and like jerky. But everybody knows that he's super good at football. Wouldn't that fit really well in the Patriots? Like, he's kind of a douche. And Bill just like, all right, well, get out there and do this and don't say much in your interviews. And he's like, okay. And, he's a bit of a douche, and he kills it for the Patriots. I could see it. And I could see the Bostonians rallying behind him. The Patriots are 1-3 right now on the year. And that one win is over Zach Wilson and the Jets. And that was before Zach Wilson played good football. Let me look up the Patriots' schedule because I'm pretty sure my buddy said they have a bad schedule going ahead. Okay, so they play the Saints this week. Most likely going to lose. Not sure what's going on with Derek Carr there. Play the Raiders. They could win that, honestly. Bills, they'll lose. Dolphins, they'll lose. Commanders, they might win. Colts. So let's say they beat the Saints and they beat the Raiders. Okay, it's 2 more wins. Let's say they lose to the Commies, lose to the Colts. They beat the Giants. Chargers, they lose. Steelers, they lose. Chiefs, they lose. Broncos, they win. Bills, they lose. Jets, they lose. Right? What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more wins. 4 more wins on the year. Let's say one of those I was wrong. Okay? So they have 5. They're going to either, like, the highest I see them going is 6 wins. The lowest I see them going would be like 4 wins on the year. I don't know if that's number 1 pick eligible, but that's definitely like top 5. I don't know. There's a chance. There's a chance that that's the worst record in the league. It's probably them or the Giants. That'll be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to keep your eye open. That'd be pretty crazy if the Patriots ended up with Caleb Williams. No one would have expected that. All right. I want to talk about the Eagles. Eagles and Niners, the only 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL. I think the Eagles are really good. I don't think they look better. I think they look worse than last year. I don't know what it is. I feel like Hurts is just not playing as well. I don't know why. I just think they're going to get slammed by one of these teams coming up. And honestly, I think it might be this week when they play the Rams. And I'm telling you, I just don't think they're a Super Bowl contender. I think they're fringe, but I think that something's off. They just do not look as good as they used to. I don't know what it is. They almost lost to the Patriots week 1. Like, they didn't look... I mean, granted, that Patriots defense is pretty good, but I don't like it. I don't know what it is with the Eagles. I'm just getting a weird vibe this year. You know, they talk about the Super Bowl loser curse. Maybe that's what's going on. That curse has held up. I mean, the Rams missed the playoffs last year after they... No, it wouldn't be that. Sorry. It'd be the Bengals last year. Well, the Bengals still went to the AFC Championship. But I'm saying... I don't know. I'm intrigued by this Eagles team. I'm not sure because I feel like I want to say they're as good as last year, but something just feels off. They just don't seem to be as good as they were last year. I mean, they went to overtime with the Commies. Battle for America. Well, technically it's Pat's Commies. Pat's Commies. Everyone in America's got to root for the Pats, and the Commies are getting all the, everybody in Russia's rooting for them, tuning in. But I don't know. I don't want to be a hater. I mean, I kind of am a hater on some teams like the Bills. But I just don't. I think the Niners just look significantly better than them. And I think the Rams are going to beat the Eagles this week. Perfectly honest. I should have that written down as a marquee matchup. I think I do. Let me look at marquee matchups. What do I have? Yeah, I do. That's the 4 p.m. Making sure. All right, speaking of me being a bit of a Bills hater, I do have to admit, Josh Allen might be getting his MVP this year. This might be the year, ladies and gentlemen. I think right now, it's like him, Tua, Lamar. I know you're like, Lamar? What? I think Lamar's got a real shot. They could win the AFC North relatively handedly. I mean, they took care of the Browns. And I know the Browns didn't have Deshaun. And I know I'm a guy who said that I thought Dorian Thompson-Robinson was the answer. I was wrong. But in the same sense, I do think it was terrible coaching from Kevin Stefanski. I think he set Dorian Thompson-Robinson up to fail with the way he game planned that game. He did not do anything to try to mitigate stress from him or, use his strengths to his benefit. He just threw him out there and was like, all right, you're just going to run the offense like you're Deshaun. And he's not the exact same. And so I don't understand why Kevin Stefanski did that. It was terrible coaching from him. And I don't feel like going into the Browns this week yet. I don't feel like talking about, things continue to go wrong for them because I kind of talked about that last week a little bit. So, they're on a bye week this week. Deshaun will be back next week. I'm not a Deshaun Watson guy, but he is better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think it'd be a lot higher on this team if Baker Mayfield was the quarterback. I'm just being honest. But, yeah. Gotta love Baker. But what I'm saying back to the Ravens, they could pretty handily win that division. They took care of a Browns defense that is one of the best defense in the league, and they put 28 points on them. I don't care whether Deshaun Watson's there or not. That was excellent coaching from Harbaugh. And so I give John Harbaugh a lot of credit. This Ravens team is passing more than ever before, and it's working for them. So they used to run it all the time. Now they're passing more, and the passing is working. And Lamar is still Lamar. He's still great, but I think his arm and his reads and his passing has improved tremendously. I think it's his best he's ever played. So I think Lamar would probably be my 2 for MVP, and 2 is 3. Nah, probably 2 at 2, just because the way they vote. You know 2 is going to have all the stats that are going to pop off the page. But Josh Allen, right now, the leader. So, all right, what else did I want to talk about? Christian McCaffrey being a legend. Yeah, that's just facts. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, my gosh. He's going to have his own argument for being MVP this year. He's definitely going to be Offensive Player of the Year. He's absolutely killing it for the Niners. I'm so happy he got to go somewhere where he's actually used properly. And Shanahan, best coach in the league, this Niners team could win the Super Bowl, and Christian McCaffrey would probably be Super Bowl MVP, and I'd love it. Lions took care of business versus the Packers. Just want to make sure we don't underrate that game because that Packers team looked kind of frisky, and the Lions absolutely took care of them. So I just want everybody to pay attention how good this Lions team is. All right, Puka Nacua. Gotta love Puka. And I think everybody loves Puka, and that's great. I do think what's weird about Puka is that he kind of is making Cooper Kupp less impressive. Because, like, all that time, you're like, man, Cooper Kupp. Wow, he's so good. Look at all those numbers. Oh, my gosh. Look at how many receptions. Look at all the yards. Touchdowns. It was crazy. Is Cooper Kupp just a system wide receiver? Like, is McVay just that good at elevating a receiver with Matthew Stafford? Is Matthew Stafford and McVay together just really good at elevating a certain receiver? And Puka fits the mold. I think so. I think Puka, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Puka's a talented player. But, you know, they saw him and they said, you know, you can do what Cooper does. And so they just had him do what Cooper does. And now he's killing it. And I think Offensive Rookie of the Year, I said before, it's probably Bijan, CJ, and probably him. It's probably top 3. And so it's going to be really interesting once Cooper comes back, what they're going to do. Because it seems like the way they like to run their offense is give it to that one guy. Are they going to do better now that they have both of them? And Tutu Atwell's obviously good too. I'm very intrigued to see what McVay can do and what Stafford can do. I've kind of been a McVay hater in the past, but this is kind of making me more impressed with him because I'm like, okay, I think Puka's good, right? But it's not like a Monra, where a Monra just has this super raw, like, I don't want to say physicality because he's not really that big, but he's got this speed to him. Whereas Puka is kind of like the Travis Kelce thing where I'm like, you're just open all the time. And I don't know what you do. Like, you're not incredibly fast. You're not like a freak of nature. You just always get open, and you always catch it. And that's what Kelce does, and that's what Puka does. And a lot of that's from great coaching. Not to take anything away from Puka. He's having a great year. I love what he's doing. But I think he's taken a little bit away from Cooper Kupp because it's like, is Cooper really that good, or is McVay just that good at elevating talent? So I think it's interesting. Commies aren't that good. I talked about that there could be some real hype around them if they beat the Bills, and they got slapped by them. They go to overtime with the Eagles. I don't think they're going to do much this year. Baker's still thriving. Baker played a great game. Can't wait to see him play the Lions in a week. Not this week. It'll be next week. The Bucs are on bye week. Bears are so awful. Just want to talk. Gosh, they're so bad. Real chance they get Caleb Williams, and then they get Marvin Harrison Jr. I think, honestly, that's in the cards at the moment with how bad the Panthers have been playing. They could potentially have the 1 and 2 pick, which means the Patriots do not get Caleb Williams, which I bet a lot of you are happy about because I manifested that, and most of you are probably like, no, Ryan, why would you manifest that? So, and I just want to toss this out there. Brandon Staley is so terrible, and I can't believe he stole his job. It makes me angry. Makes me so angry. He's not a good coach for the Chargers. But got to toss this out there. Anthony Lynn, when they fired him, since then has been the offensive coordinator for the 2021 Detroit Lions. That was the team that got the good energy at the end of the year. Like, they only won like 2 games. But that was when they discovered Amon-Ra near the last couple weeks of the season. And I think he did well there. Then he leaves, and he's now currently assistant head coach and running backs coach for the San Francisco 49ers, a.k.a. the best-run team in the NFC. And probably, honestly, I would say the Chiefs are 2. I'd say the Niners are the best-run team in football. And Anthony Lynn is their assistant head coach and running back coach. So I just want to point out to everybody how stupid the Chargers were to get rid of Anthony Lynn, especially when Herbert won Rookie of the Year with... I just don't understand. I don't understand. It doesn't... Oh, my gosh. It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay. Fire Brandon Staley. Oh, okay. That was I had an all caps Sunday Night Football Zach Wilson, but I accidentally already talked about that. Also, for those of you that have seen the Jordan Poole edits, where it's the music, the honey, I see you, and it's remember when Jordan Poole saw the baddies courtside and started cooking. The edits of Zach Wilson doing that after seeing Taylor Swift are hilarious to me, and I will forever love the fact that meme was created. That was great. For my mother who listens to this podcast and has no clue what just happened, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Okay, so for fun, right now we are 4 weeks in, and who are the top 3 teams in each conference? So we'll start with the NFC, because I feel like it. Number 3, I would say Eagles, but I really want to put the Seahawks. I like what the Seahawks are doing a lot. I like what Pete Carroll's got going on. I think their defense is really good, and I would like to put them 3, but you got to put the Eagles. They're currently undefeated. They honestly should be higher, but I wanted to put the Lions at 2. So the Lions are 2. I love what the Lions are doing. I think they're a real threat to win the NFC. I don't know if I can really see them winning the Super Bowl, but I definitely see them potentially being in it, and I like their energy. I just love everything they're doing. Number 1's the Niners for obvious reasons. They look like they could win the Super Bowl this year. Like, legit. And what's funny is I say about the NFC is like the only team in the NFC like I really see winning the Super Bowl is the Niners, whereas in the AFC there's 3 teams I can see winning the Super Bowl, and that's number 3, the Chiefs, number 2, the Dolphins, and number 1, the Bills. I see, really, those are the 4 teams in football that I look at right now and say you can win the Super Bowl. Is the Niners, Chiefs, Dolphins, and Bills. The Bills are number 1. I would like to put the Dolphins at 1, but yeah, I can't. The Bills owned them Sunday. I got to give them a lot of credit. The Bills played better. Now, Tre'Davious White is out for the year. I think that's going to significantly hurt the Bills. And I just do not believe in playoff Bills. I just don't. I really do not think this team, with the way the bracket's going to turn out, they're most likely, let's say they're number 1 seed. They're going to play a wild card game. Divisional, they're most likely going to have to play either the Ravens or the Dolphins or the Chiefs. And then in the AFC Championship, play one of those teams again. That's most likely what is going to happen. The divisionals will probably end up being Ravens, Bills, Dolphins, Chiefs. Or Bills, Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens, or Bills, Dolphins, Ravens, Chiefs. No matter what, all roads end to them not being in the Super Bowl. I don't see this Bills team in the playoffs beating the Dolphins or the Chiefs in the playoffs. Maybe they beat the Ravens. Maybe, but maybe playoff Lamar finally shows up. I mean, Lamar, I think, has won 2 playoff games in his career. Maybe. Playoff Lamar. Okay. Yeah, he's played 4 games, and he's got 2 wins. Right? What's Lamar's record in the playoffs? Okay, just give me his stats. I want his record, guys. 1-3. Okay, never mind. So playoff Lamar maybe shows up and he wants to prove himself, so he gets back-to-back playoff win. Well, yeah, maybe back-to-back playoff wins because they're not the number 1 seed. They have to play a wild card. So maybe the playoff Lamar shows up, gets in the AFC Championship. But I'm just not. I just don't see this Bills team. I don't like what they do offensively still. I think they're finally doing something that is good, which is getting James Cook as the starting running back as a real threat. That is the way I could see them going to the Super Bowl, is if they have a real run game. That is how they could win the Super Bowl, is if they can get James Cook to be, like, not even like top 3, maybe just top 10. I think top 10 would be passable as a running back. I don't even think top 5 has to be. Just a top 10 running back. If you can do that, they can win the Super Bowl. I think Allen is an exceptional quarterback. Right now, he's the second best quarterback in the league. It's not Burrow. I mean, Burrow's played terrible. It's got to be Josh Allen. I don't care if Burrow's hurt or not. It's got to be Josh right now. Mahomes is clearly number 1. I don't care that he played bad in Sunday Night Football. It's Mahomes. Josh Allen's playing like the second best quarterback in the league. He could potentially win MVP this year. I just don't, unless they get that running game really going, I don't see his team win the Super Bowl. But I got to give him credit. Josh is playing really well. So I do think the Bills have to be called the best team in the AFC at the moment. If there was a 4 spot, I give it to the Ravens. It would be Bills, Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens. And I would say the Ravens are in a similar spot to the I don't know if I want to say the Lions, because I think the Lions have a little more in them than the Ravens. I could just see the Ravens going to the AFC Championship. I think that's their peak. I don't think they go to the Super Bowl. And that's just because the AFC is tougher than the NFC. If the Ravens were in the NFC, I think they could make it to the Super Bowl and then lose the AFC. The AFC is just better. It's just the reality. The only team in the NFC that could win the AFC is the Niners. So, yeah, I do think... I just think in the playoff setting, the Dolphins or Chiefs, I trust more than the Bills. But, that's just me. All right, marquee matchups. On 1 p.m., I wrote, there's really not much here. I write the scripts usually Monday night while I'm watching Monday Night Football right after it's over. So let's see what this is. Okay. Monday Night Football. Okay, what did I say? Marquee matchups. I can't lie, there's not much here. I guess. So I said, like Ravens, Steelers, and Giants v. Dolphins. Maybe they'll hang 70 again. Yeah, so marquee matchups, because I do 2 for the 1 o'clock. Here are my options. I got Saints, Patriots. No, do not watch that game. Titans, Colts. No. Ravens, Steelers. It's a rivalry. The Ravens should manhandle them. Panthers, Lions. I'm a Panthers fan. I'm going to be pained watching this. At least I enjoyed the Lions, but it almost makes it worse when I kind of enjoy the other team. Like, the Lions are probably the most entertaining team in the league for me. I just think they're so much fun to watch. And they just play fun football. And it's going to be so bad when they absolutely mop the floor with us. And our offense, it's not even built correctly. Texans, Falcons is kind of gross. I mean, I like what the Texans are doing, but that Falcons team is not fun to watch because of Desmond Ridder. Giants, Dolphins is going to be terrible, but it might be the marquee matchup just because you can see the Dolphins absolutely take care of them. And that's all the games. That is all the 1 o'clocks because it's a bye week. So we're finally getting to the point where there's buys for teams. So I guess I'm going to go with Ravens, Steelers as one of the marquee matchups for 1 p.m. because it's a rivalry. Maybe the Steelers do some interesting things on defense to try to stop Lamar. I don't know. And I'm going to go with Giants, Dolphins. Maybe we can see the Dolphins absolutely destroy another team and just put up crazy numbers. And for the Giants, where is it? Is it at Miami? Okay, never mind. The Giants haven't scored in MetLife Stadium since January. So be on the lookout for that. That's how bad the Giants have been. They've only scored at away games so far this year. For the 4 o'clock, there's a very clear winner for the marquee matchup, and that's Eagles-Rams. That's going to be a game. That's going to be a good game. I think if the Eagles win that, I have to give them some of their flowers. Like, okay, I was kind of talking bad about you guys. Give you guys credit. Because I think if they beat the Rams, I would like to say that I should not be like, oh, they're not looking that good. I think this Rams team's a tough team to beat. Yeah, Rams team's currently 2-2. Yeah. It's not a great team, but I think it's a team that could beat the Eagles. And if they get washed by the Eagles, like the Eagles just absolutely own them, then I got to admit the Eagles are better than I'm saying. Chiefs-Vikings should be fun because the one Vikings player said he's going to talk in Travis's ear the whole time about him dating Taylor Swift, so I can't wait for Travis Kelce to go off. And I have him in my fantasy teams in 2 different leagues because I own him in every league I'm in but one. So I can't wait for that. I renamed my fantasy team in my league with my family Gold Rush, and the picture is Taylor Swift because I think it's funny. And for those of you who don't know, Gold Rush is a Taylor Swift song. I was informed that by Genevieve, and I listened to it. It was all right. Not one of my favorites, but so I'm a clever guy like that. All right, let's do primetime picks. So we got Thursday Night Football tonight. We got a terrible game. Can't wait for that. It's going to be Bears Commies. I might watch the end of this. I'm not even sure. I'll probably watch a little bit of the beginning. I'm not sure if I'll watch it all the way through. I got to take Commies here. This should be an absolute terrible game. So the Commanders look good in it, though, is what's funny. People will be like, oh, it's Commander. No, they're not that good. Stop it. Bieniemy's good, but I don't know what's wrong with the Commanders. I think Bieniemy's good. I think he's doing the best of what he can do. I'm just not sure if Sam Howell's really that dude. Okay, then we have the Sunday morning matchup, a.k.a. The Hangover Bowl, as I've started kind of referring it to, because I'm willing to bet most people on 9:30 on a Sunday are probably coming out from a big Saturday night. So I will not be hungover watching this game, but I guarantee some people will be. Actually, I don't know if in Ohio, if hungover people wake up at 9:30 in the morning. So maybe it's the Californian Hangover Bowl because it would start at 12:30. So that might be perfect. Wait a minute, I take that back. It wouldn't be. It'd be starting at 6:30. So there's nobody waking up for that. I mean, some people might just be going to bed at that time in California. Those people are crazy out in California. That'd be definitely not the Hangover Bowl in California. I guess maybe I feel like if it was going to be the Hangover Bowl, it'd have to start at like 12:30. I don't want to throw my dad under the bus, but whenever he's hungover, he's definitely not up at 9:30. So definitely a 12:30 start would be better if they were going to make the Hangover Bowl. But so I guess that's why they do the 1 p.m. slot here on the East Coast. It's perfect, for the Saturday night guys waking up at 1 p.m. That's like my dad, sit in his bed, just turn on the 1 p.m. Steelers Ravens. But now 9:30, I guess maybe it's like the Eggs Over Easy Bowl, right? It's all the old guys that get up and make their omelets. That would be it. Yeah, so I'm going to take Bills over Jaguars. And really the interesting thing is here, the Jaguars did get to stay over in London, so keep an eye on that. From their London game last week, so the Bills had to travel over, so that could maybe be the way the Jaguars get the upset. All right, Monday Night Football, we got Cowboys-Niners. Definitely going to take the Niners here. I think they're going to stay undefeated. This Cowboys defense is pretty good, but they're losing guys every week. Feels like guys get hurt all the time for the Cowboys, and that's a shame. But the Niners team's really good, so they're going to win. Packers-Raiders. Thought about going Raiders here, but then I realized that was stupid, so I took the Packers. I would be very surprised if the Raiders win this. I think this Packers team's okay. Nothing special. It's in like 3 years, they're going to be pretty good. But they're working through it right now. They're working through getting rid of Rodgers, seeing what Christian Watson can do with Jordan Love. They're going to draft some guys. It's going to take a little bit for the Packers to be back to being really good. So, okay, so now we're going to end off the show with future ESPN personalities. Now, not really just ESPN. It's just the best way to word it. But I was thinking, which guys, I was talking so much about Travis Kelce and his celebrity career. I was thinking, which guys are going to be analysts? Like, which guys are you going to turn on TV in 10 to 15 years? And you're going to be like, I remember when he was a quarterback, and you're telling, your niece or nephew or your grandson or your son, like, I remember watching him in the league, and they're showing pictures of him, and you're like, I remember watching that. Which guys are going to be those guys? Now, granted, I want to make sure you all know. These are complete shots in the dark, but I will admit I think some of these are pretty damn accurate, so just keep that in mind. Now, they're all in different categories. So we'll start with quarterbacks, and this one is called They'll want him even though he's really not the best fit. So the first one for that, I got Patrick Mahomes. I don't think Mahomes is the best fit to be a commentator or a halftime show host. I think he'd be a bit of an awkward fit. I think, he's got the weirder voice. I just don't really see him being somebody you tune in I don't think, you tune into Sunday Night Football and there's Mahomes with the headset on. I just don't see it. He sounds like a NASCAR driver, and that's fine. I just don't think it fits his personality either. He seems a little, I just don't see Mahomes being like, man, that's a really great read there by, Tony Romo Jr. He made a great play. I just don't see Mahomes doing that. It's just not his style. I didn't even try to do a Mahomes impression because I knew it'd be terrible. Another one's Josh Allen. I don't see Josh Allen's personality fitting a commentator either. I think he's just a little quieter. He's a Wyoming boy. He might want to go out and just live with, maybe he's still with, oh crap, what's his girlfriend's name? She's famous. Dang it. Maybe he's still with Haley Steinfeld. Feld? Oh, crap. Now I have to check again. Haley Steinfeld. Yeah, maybe he's still with her, and they're living off somewhere. Who knows? But overall, I just don't see it fitting Josh Allen's personality. I mean, he did do the thing where the Bills were poking some fun at the Dolphins this week, but that's going to be the thumbnail of this episode. But overall, I just don't see Josh Allen in the booth. Maybe he's still doing Gillette commercials then. All right, this one is they may be better at commentary than they are at football. That's in parentheses. I put Tony Romo. I couldn't even see Josh Allen on a halftime show either. I just don't think he's best fit. So the guys who might be even better commentary than they are at football. First one, I got Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff would be a killer color commentator. I don't see him as much as a halftime guy, but I definitely see him as a color commentator. I think he'd be great. Kirk Cousins is another one. Kirk Cousins, I could definitely see as a halftime guy. He's sitting there talking. I think see him in the booth too. I think Kirk Cousins could do either. I think he's a little goofy enough that it would be great, and I think he's kind of cheesy and corny, and that's kind of how Tony Romo is, and I think it would fit Kirk Cousins super well. And then the guy this whole segment is kind of for, to be honest, is Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield will be the best halftime guy or color guy, whether he's doing college for Oklahoma, whether he's doing pro. It doesn't matter what Baker Mayfield does. He will be one of the premier best player-turned-commentary personalities or halftime show guys in the business. Baker will absolutely kill this. Baker, he might just run his own podcast. Maybe that's what he does. Maybe he's on TV. Maybe he does both. I don't know what Baker's going to do. Whatever he does, he's going to be incredibly successful at it. He's got the personality for it. He's got the voice for it. He's got the look for it. Baker would be great. So I just want to toss. I mean, that's basically when I was writing this segment, I was like, okay, Baker's like one of the top guys. I not wait. I guarantee in 15 years we're seeing Baker Mayfield on our screens, and I'd love it. Hopefully, former Super Bowl champion Baker Mayfield. All right, I can see him being in a halftime show. I don't see Geno Smith as a color commentary guy, but I definitely see him being a halftime guy. I could just see it. It's like, oh, Geno, like those journeyman QBs always got interesting things to say. So kind of like RG3, I could definitely see him do. Ryan Fitzpatrick is another one who does that. I think Geno would be really good. This is the good-looking enough they will get offers. That's Jimmy Garoppolo, Zach Wilson, and Jalen Hurts. These are just good-looking dudes since they're going to be want to put them on TV, so I wouldn't be surprised if you see them on there sometimes. All right. Then I have future Troy Aikman. This is a guy who is not going to be better at commentary than they are at football, like Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, and Jared Goff. But, they kind of got a little bit of everything. Where they're pretty good at color, nothing crazy. They're not the best. Like, Baker and Tony Romo are better. But, they're good looking enough that it makes all the moms go, oh, I remember having a crush on him in high school. And so that's why they get him. That's why they have Troy Aikman. I just want to put that out there. Tony is so much better at commentary than Troy. But they get Troy because, he was used to be a big heartthrob. And so this award goes to Justin Herbert for obvious reasons. I mean, can't you see Justin Herbert in 15, 20 years? It's like, oh, there's Justin Herbert and he's doing color. I mean, yeah, definitely. Joe Burrow, for a fact it's going to be Joe Burrow. He's going to be on ESPN as a color commentator. It. Come on. Unless he really wants to retire. Come on. And Matt Stafford, I will say Stafford is fringe, might be better at commentary than he is at football. Because I think Stafford is great. I mean, I don't know if he's great. I say, yeah, Stafford is a great quarterback. I think he's kind of becoming slightly underrated. Stafford's really good. But I think Stafford out of these three guys would be the best commentator, and I think Stafford would be great. All right, coaches. This is, I'd love to see it, but they won't do it. That's Andy Reid. Andy Reid's not going to do it, but could you imagine? Him as color commentator or halftime? I mean, come on, it'd be so funny. And especially without a hat on, just his big bald head and his big mustache. I'd love it. But yeah, he's not going to do it. Bill Belichick, that would be peak television. Bill Belichick, well, I think I'm going to take the Dolphins here. They're doing pretty well this year. Bill, anything else? Nope, that's it. On to you guys. Oh my gosh, it would be hilarious. They'll never do it. Maybe an SNL skit sometime. This is the award for, I don't know why they're awards now. It wasn't originally awards, but this coach will instantly be thrown $5 million contract, and that is Sean McVay. For a fact, as soon as this man retires, he will be the halftime show. Fox or CBS is going to throw him $5 million a year, and he is going to be at every halftime show for that network. And that's just the way it's going to be. And, it's kind of like old Jimmy, former Cowboys coach. It'll be Sean McVay. And that makes sense. Sean McVay also a pretty good-looking guy, so they won't, it benefits him. All right, now this is the should instantly be thrown $5 million, where McVay is the obvious one, but I would love for these guys to be too. And that's Mike Tomlin. I think Tomlin would be great. I love Mike Tomlin. I think he's shown in interviews he's got fun things to say, and he's got a fun personality. I think Tomlin would be excellent. The thing is with Tomlin is I don't know if he actually would want to do that, but I would love it. Mike McDaniel, he's so, he's a little awkward and weird. I think it'd be so much fun to have Mike McDaniel on television every week. Kyle Shanahan, because he's the genius of our generation, and so it'd be great to have the best mind on television. And then John Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh could do really well. I think he might be fringe. Will and so maybe throwing $5 million like McVay. But I think Harbaugh has a decent amount of people that dislike him. So maybe not. But I think Harbaugh would do really well. I'd love to see Harbaugh. So that's all I have for coaches. Other positions, I just like, because quarterbacks and coaches like the opposite ones. I wanted to say these guys have podcasts, so maybe they'll want to do something in that field. And that was Micah Parsons and Von Miller. I could see both of these guys being like kind of like Michael Strahan. You know, he's like the big name when you think of a defensive player that now does a lot of television work. He is one, and I think Micah Parsons or Von Miller, they both have podcasts. Maybe they'd want to do that. And now this is just like random picks. I want to say, would George Kittle want to? I could see George Kittle being fun on television. I think he could do pretty good. I could see George Kittle. What about Christian McCaffrey? I think McCaffrey could do well. I think McCaffrey would be really fun. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has a lot of personality. I think he brings something really interesting to like a halftime show. Myles Garrett. I would love for Myles Garrett to be a halftime or pregame host. I think he'd be great. I'd love to see what Myles Garrett has to say. And then last one, Aaron Donald. I think Donald would be really interesting. They don't bring a lot of defensive players on. And so it'd be really fun for Donald or Myles Garrett, or both, right? I think either one of those would be fun. All right, and then lastly, I'm going to make them the picture for this segment. Literally let them do whatever they want to do, and that's the Kelsey brothers. You know, whatever they want to do, it's going to be good. I mean, they got a great podcast. I love it. They definitely don't need my promotion. They're significantly larger than me. But here is my promotion. I love their show. I think if Jason and Trav want to do a Manning cast style show, I would watch that. I think they're more fun than the Manning brothers. I would love whatever they do, but I honestly don't see them doing too much in television because Travis really likes saying the F word. So I would be very surprised if they go on television. But whatever they want to do, they'll be good at. And so you know they're going to be around as long as they want to be. And that's fun because they got great personalities and they're great guys. And they already got their own documentary and they're not even retired. So, you know. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this one up, edit it, put it up, and within the next couple hours, I'm going to record another one with RJ and talk about baseball. So if you're enjoying listening to me, that's great, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or you followed me on Twitter. If you're not doing any of those things, you can just go to the About page on the channel. That's like the most I've ever done a plug. I've never really done a plug before, so there it is. But, yeah, it's been a great episode. I love how I say that. Like I'm judging this from it. Yeah, looking back, it's been pretty great. No, but I think it's been a pretty solid episode. Fun day talking football. Can't wait for the games this week, even though I think it's one of the weaker weeks. And weaker weeks. It's fun to say, weaker weeks. But I got some baseball talk about tonight. And so if you're enjoying my takes on football and baseball, I appreciate it because, you know, I essentially am just talking for my own health. So I appreciate you promoting my healthy habits. All right, see you on the next one.